and so dear and near, I think. When we take, this is a book originated by or written by DrTPS, that is his brainchild. But I think most of the people present here or we have contributed also. So the credit goes to us also. This is our function. When I speak personally, this function is Panicker's family's function because DrTPS treats my husband V.K.S. Panicker as his elder brother, myself as his sister, and my daughter calls him Cheriach. So it's a family function, but if I say so, I know people will raise hands. No, he belongs to us also. That means DrTPS belongs to the universe. So is his book. Especially we Mayur Viharians or Delhians are so lucky enough to have DrTPS in our vicinity for the last 1 year. He is here for 1 more year. I think we must make best use of his capabilities. If I say something about Life Made Simple, his book, I think I don't need to say so many words because elders and learned people are here to talk about that. But something I must say is, if you look at the cover page of that book, there is an uncle. He is riding a bicycle. He is not even riding it. He is just pushing it, put his backpack on the carrier with a cool face, and the sunlight is pouring from behind. Isn't it so wonderful to see such a cover page to start with? And the title of the book is called Life Made Simple. Soon after that he says, no, life is not that simple. That is DrTPS. He is one among us, yet so different. He is so different and such a genius person. I have gone through few of his writings. I have lucky enough to know that, means to go through his writings. Whenever I see there is a touch of the blessing of the motherly touch. To him, mother is equal to love. That is what he asked for. All mothers, they simply give love. Whether it is his own biological mother, sorry to say that she is no more with him, or the Mother Earth, such an ardent lover of Mother Earth, or the Devi Ma. He is doing research in Dashamahavidya and he is writing a book on that also. I think I don't need to say more things about Life Made Simple because you have to read that book, such a wonderful book. So many people, I think most of the parents here must have scolded their children for unnecessarily wasting time in Orkut. Anybody on the earth, do you think that such a book is possible from the Orkut chatting? Simple Orkut chatting. And few of the characters are also alive. They are all present here, I think. My daughter Sobha Panicker is there. I don't know, Mr. Ravi is here. Or Subhadra is here. I don't know. I have not met them. But they are all living characters. They have participated in writing this book. So I'm not talking much about that. Let me introduce our respected guests for the evening. We have our chief guest, Dr. P.M. Nair IPS, such a hardcore police officer he is. And myself and my family knows him for the last 22 years. His wife is Mohammadi IAS, both from Bihar, Kedar, and 2 lovely kids they have. Such a wonderful family So that's what I'm saying. This is a family get-together. So please give him a big welcome. Next, we have Akavoor uncle here. A fatherly figure. I have no capacity to stand in front of him and talk few words about him. He's a retired professor from Delhi University. Recently, he has written a book on Kathakali Rasayanam. I not read it, but I would like to read it. Please give him a big hand. Now we have Swagata Sen Pillai. What to talk about her? She is a soulmate, and I think most of the Mayur Viharians know her. She breathes dance, she drinks dance, and she lives dance. Guru for my daughter for the last so many years, say 20 or more. I think I know her much before that. I think I know her since 1988. So she is director of Kingini Dhoni. Please give me a big hand. Now we have Professor Rajneesh Pathak. He is director of Salam Namaste from Noida. Just met him recently at the doorsteps of Guruvayurappan temple. Such a young spirit or young soul he is, he doesn't have an ego at all. That day, around I think 7:30, he called up at my house, said, see, Shobhaji, I'm at temple, I want to take the books, some books from me. I said, Rajneesh, it's not possible for to go. He just dropped in front at my gate at around 7:30. He said, doesn't matter, just give it. So I gave the invitation also at my gate. He is such a young and spirit, youthful soul. So now we have elders here to speak about the book Life Made Simple. Yeah.
He is very special. He is going to receive the book.
At the doorsteps of Guruvayurappan temple, we have a small group which consists of okay. So we have a small group at the doorsteps of Guruvayurappan temple which consists of Sundari Chechi, Sudhir, and Rajan Marar. So many, my daughter, myself here. What we do is, almost every evening we just sit there. We just unwind ourselves. We laugh at so many things, discuss so many things. It can be different types of making different types of sambar to Chandrayaan or the economic disasters, America, whatever. And the people pass by, they just look at us quizzically, what is going on between these people, what they are doing. We ask them, please come closer and open up your mind and find out what is going between in this mind of this Dr. Shashi Kumar. We have to explore him because we have only one more year to go. After that, he will just fly away from Delhi vicinity. He might be a visiting bird after that, but I don't think he will get so often. So let us go to the next item of today's agenda. That's the releasing of book. I invite Dr. P.M. Nair to do that.
You will hand over the book to him because okay.
Want me to speak? Yeah. Oh, yes. Want English also? privilege to be here. Intellectuals in the Vidakthamaradeyum, Pandithamaradakke policeman. That's the only honor I have. I don't know how a policeman can fit into it's an august, erudite group of people with wisdom. Of course, they can claim to be a practitioner for the last 30 years in the Indian Police Service. Try to do something. Last month we happened to meet DPS in Mayur Vihar Phase 3, Muttappan Akavoor Sobha. So I was privileged to meet a person who is a scientist, this and whatnot. So as Madam Sobha Panicker, and she said, you better come and do the job. I said, it's my privilege. So I'm very happy to be here in the midst of such esteemed, erudite and intellectuals of this country. The book is something quite different. I had an opportunity of going through the book. I was quite fascinated. If you can get things out of Akavoor, as Madam Sobha rightly said, Akavoor is something which I would tell my children, keep off Akavoor. You know, I've been working on human trafficking, anti-human trafficking for the last 15 years, in addition to my police job. Last month, went to Patna, organized a students program, 9th, 10th, 11th standard children. Somebody in Hyderabad called up and said, Nair Akavoor, I have 10 lakhs rupees. Please do something for children, for girl children. 10 lakhs rupees. I said, I am a government official, government of India, I can take your money. But you give money to an NGO and I will work with the NGO. So on Saturdays, Sundays, I go for this program. So we happened to go to Patna. First, let's start in Patna. 550 students. 9th, 10th, 11th standard, girl children. Very wonderful audience, vibrant girls, you can imagine that age group. You know, it's a pleasure to be with the children, these children. Okay, first of all, you have cell phones? Yes. All of you are working on email? Yes. All of you are on to Akavoor? Yes. All of you are you put your names and addresses? Yes. You put your telephone numbers? Yes. Very good. Okay, all of you are chatting on Akavoor? Yes. You keep on chatting with the person? Yes, yes. Good. You don't know whom you are chatting with? No, we don't know. You have put your photograph also? Yes. Telephone numbers? Yes. Then we asked one girl, okay, now you are Akavoor, if you don't mind. We would, told audience, one of your Akavoor, I would like to go into Akavoor, take your picture, and in your presence, I will make a pornographic film out of that and show you dancing as a prostitute. Would you mind? Any of you welcome. One girl said, Uncle, I am here. I said, your picture will come, don't mind. We will delete that, but it will come. She said, I don't mind. It's a morphing. We operated there. It's so easy, if you know the trick. Operated there, took a picture, cut her head, and put it to another pornographic site and made the person dance. And it's there. All children, 550 children, were sunk. They were totally shocked. Then we asked the question, how do you address this menace? That you can be maimed, you may be morphed. This can happen like this. We told her the technique of prevention. We told the technique of attempting or addressing the issue. If something happens like this, don't tell it, keep it. Report to us. You know, the amount of phone calls which we get today on mail or even cell phones is so many of them. Uncle, can you sort out this issue? I get a phone like this, I get a mail like this, I get a picture like this, I get some pornographic, something which is hidden in something else, spoonerism. A lot of things are coming in. Can you help? It's amazing. So my impression of Akavoor, it was different. Today I find Akavoor has something totally different perception. Thanks to Dr. DrTPS, it's an amazing thing he has brought out and it's wonderful. The positive side of things. The book speaks about positivism. The book speaks about positivism. It's an offbeat book. It's an offbeat. See, normally we always think that Akavoor is the only negative side, the positive side. I had another, my wife, she said she's an officer here. My sister-in-law, she's a cricketer. My wife's sister, Sumati Iyer. Tamil Nadu, she's a known cricketer now. She's the only woman umpire in the country. Sumati Iyer's son, my old sister-in-law, she got a son. He is now in the 9th standard. One day he was talking to me, Uncle, something. I said, then he said something. I said, I don't understand what you're trying to say, Krishna. Krishna says, this is not in your ken. Say, what did you say? This is not in your ken. I said, what is ken? He said, you better refer to the dictionary. And I said, I didn't know. I went to the dictionary and found what it is. Call back, Krishna, you are genius. How did you get this word? He says, watch Pogo. I said, what is Pogo? See, if at all after government, we try to get to the news item to see what the news is. That's it. We don't know what channel comes before, what channel comes after. Sunday I try to go to Asianet and see some film, but get stuck with so many activities, so you don't even do that. This fellow says, watch Pogo. I said, what is Pogo? It's a channel. Now, we prevent our children from watching Pogo, but the positive side of Pogo is that the fellow picked up a lot of English words, fine words, goes to the dictionary, assimilates, absorbs, and he's a genius. Today he can speak with authority the right appropriate word. Most of us may write books, but when we come to the right word, we struggle and starve. There is a positive side to everything. I'm very happy Dr. Shashimar has shown the positive side of things. It is really out of the box, very thought-provoking. You can start from the middle, as you rightly said, start from the beginning, you can start from the end. There is no sequence to a book, therefore it's very out of the box. The casual style, which is user-friendly, anecdotes substantiate the theory portion. There is a theory emerging in every small message. But the anecdotes substantiate the theory. I was quite fascinated. And of course, a profound philosophy. Philosophy of life. Philosophy of life. How to make life simple. I was trying to understand why this man is walking. Till Shobha said, I couldn't understand. I was wondering why half pant, chappal, cycle, not much luggage, not a steep climb. Still he is walking. Is he giving relief to the cycle? No? He is. What about this? Now I could get something more. Practical philosophy of life for all of us, down to earth, realistic, touching every aspect of life. It's practical and genuine grassroots philosophy. Grassroots philosophy. Philosophy is something very, very high. But here is brought the philosophy into a mundane level. Grassroots philosophy. So we can call Shashimar as the grassroots philosopher for our country. I mean that. I am very touched with the way it is written. Grassroots philosophy. We need grassroots people. Everything can't be at the top. At the top, things actually don't work. Things work at the ground level. So this is the ground level. Well, there is a mention of creativity is an accident. That's only point I was trying to find. Is there anything I can disagree with the author? And there I found something, little bit. I was trying to I want to argue with you yesterday on telephone. I said, okay, let's not argue on telephone, but raise the point. Accident. Creativity is an accident. He has explained why it is an accident, how it is an accident, and how it goes on. Somehow, slight difference from the author. This is not occasion to say that, but I must appreciate the book as in its toto. Cheral Kurukundu Siddhambujangal, Kagal Pakundu Payakanangal, Mangi Kidakundu Krishnabhumi, Mahavitra Varavad Manojan. I am coming from a grassroots level. I know what poverty is. Today in the Indian Police Service, 30 years, I get very excellent salary. All those are their position, Gadi, Vandi, everything is there. But I know what poverty is. I lived through poverty for 1.5 years. And if somebody says what is poverty, I know that. So I've gone through that. So therefore I found this creativity is something comes when opportunity is given. That opportunity has been dealt with appropriately by Dr. Shashimar. But that spirit also has to go in. My son may be happy with what Papa has got a vehicle, Papa has got 2 vehicles, Papa has got cook to cook, Nair, Dhobi, blah, 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 everything is there. If he relaxes at his home, he will be happy till I retire. After that, what question mark, what does he do? So the creativity, if he thinks is an accident, I am comfortable, no, he has better be creative. That opportunity has to be given to him, that force has to go into him, that drive has to go into him, that man has to act. Woman has to act. So all of us have to function. You have to have the drive. It may be an accidental, but at the point of time, your initiative really counts. With the poem I mentioned, Cheral Gurukundu Lambujangal, Tamara, lotus does not grow in, you can't grow lotus in this room. Even if you want to grow lotus, you have to put some mud, dirty, stinking mud. Then only lotus grows. The beautiful water which we have, water is essence of life. It comes from dark clouds, not the white clouds. If you want to draw a nice picture, you see any of those pictures, the background is dull. Ravi Verma thought of drawing that woman not on a white canvas. He wanted a dark, a sort of a dim canvas. A dim canvas is required. So in all this dim and dull atmosphere, there is a spark for growth. That spark has to be promoted, facilitated, kindled. We have a light here. Everything is there. You have oil, you have the wick, you have the camphor, you have the matchbox, but that ignition is required. You have to ignite. Then comes fire. Then comes fire. And this fire can show the whole world. I can't recite that Bangla poem by Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore wrote, when the sun was setting, the whole world became worried. What will happen? The sun is setting, the light is going away, it's fading away. What do we do? There comes that small lamp says, don't worry, I am here to show light for you. Follow me. Come to me. A small lamp can show light. That ignition is required. Light is there, but that ignition is required. So that spark has to come in. Dr. Shashikumar's book gives so much scope for the light to come, so much scope for the ignition, so much scope for promoting and kindling the energy in all of us. I am going to take you to my training center. I am presently a director of the Internal Security Academy in Mount Abu. I am going to use it as one of the Bibles for my training. Use my trainees. One day I will take out one page. Now let's read this. That's why every page is energy. Every page has got energy. So I am going to use energy when I go to my training center. I am sure all my trainees, not youngsters, officers who come into service, I am sure they will all be benefited. Well, book is on practicality and it has been done so well. It has been done so well. It gives a guide for us. I was trying to write down last what message does it take. It gives a message that from talkers we can be doers. All of us talk. From talkers we can be doers. From doers we can be performers. From performers we can be achievers. And from achievers we can be reformers. That's the message of the book. It is simplicity. And I can read pages and paras which really speak about a profound philosophy. Best wishes to Dr. Shashikumar. I wish, I'm happy that he is still writing books and trying to produce film out with the esteemed person here, Ms. Philip. More books, profound teacher. He is an erudite intellectual. And I'm sure in his activism, in his own style, he has indeed made our life very simple. I'm with him. I wish him all the very best. The last portion really touched me. Amantram aksharam nasti. Nasti moolam anaushadham. Ayogya purusho nasti. Yojagaha tattva dullabha. Did they read properly? Nidisara. Anna? Author will explain the meaning for profound philosophy. Profound philosophy. Life is there in all of us. Each one is so important. Each one is so important. Last week I was reading a book, The Power of Now. If you have not read the book, must read the book. It's actually the English version of this book. Power of Now. Of course, this is a simple book that's a little different, a complicated book. Power of Now by a person called Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle. It's a wonderful book. Wonderful book. In fact, you can also turn the book back and forth. It gives so much strength when you read the book. If you have not read, please read the book. Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle. So this is the message which comes from this book is that we all have so much power, so much strength and so much life that we can do so much for others. The whole philosophy of the book is that we can dedicate ourselves to public cause, we can dedicate ourselves to the public welfare, to others' benefit. the human rights principle. Whatever good is for me is good for others too. Whatever is bad for me is bad for others too. So let us do good to ourselves and let us do good to others too. I am privileged to be here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nair sir. It was such an inspiring talk, of course. Now, may I request Akavoor uncle to say a few words?
വേദിയിൽ ഇരിക്കുന്ന മാന്യ സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾക്കും മാന്യ സുഹൃത്തിനും ആദ്യമായി നമസ്കാരം. വളരെ ധന്യമായ ഒരു സായാഹ്നം ആണ് ഇത് എന്ന് ഞാൻ തോന്നുന്നു. വളരെ സംതൃപ്തി നൽകുന്ന ഒരു കടമയാണ് ഞാനിവിടെ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ശശികുമാറിൻ്റെ പുസ്തകം അത് എനിക്ക് കൊണ്ട് തന്നു. ഞാൻ ആർത്തിയോടുകൂടി തലേ മുഴുവൻ വായിക്കുകയും ചെയ്തു. പക്ഷേ ഇവിടെ ഇന്ന് പങ്കെടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന എനിക്ക് ലേശം വിശ്വാസം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. തീരെ സുഖമില്ലാണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. ഇപ്പോഴും സുഖമായി എന്ന് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നില്ല. അപ്പം അതുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ പേടിച്ചു, ഇവിടെ വരാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്ന് തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും. എനിക്കപ്പം വായിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ തോന്നിയത് ഞാൻ തൽക്കാലം കുറിച്ചു. അത് വായിച്ചാൽ മതിയോന്ന് നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം. പക്ഷെ എനിക്ക് എന്താ വേണ്ടതെന്നുള്ളത് ഇഷ്ടമില്ല. ഒന്ന് ഒറ്റ വാചകത്തിൽ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞാൽ അനുഭവം, വായന, മനനം, ഈ 3 കാര്യങ്ങൾ. ഇതിൽ നിന്ന് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള ജ്ഞാനം, വിജ്ഞാനം, വിവേകം, അതായത് ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ, നോളജ്, വിസ്ഡം, അതിൻ്റെ അടങ്ങുന്നതായിട്ടുള്ള മൊഴിമുത്തുകളാണ് ഈ പുസ്തകത്തിലുള്ളത്. ആ മൊഴിമുത്തുകളിലെ സ്വഭാവം വെച്ച് നോക്കിയാൽ ഒറ്റ വാചകത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു നായരാണ് എന്നാണ് എനിക്ക് തോന്നിയത്. ഇവിടെ മധുസൂദനൻ നായർ വളരെ വിദഗ്ധമായിട്ടും സമഗ്രമായിട്ടും പുസ്തകത്തിൻ്റെ ഗുണത്തിനെ പറ്റി പറഞ്ഞതിനോട് ഞാൻ സർവാത്മനായി യോജിക്കുന്നു. 100% ശരിയാണ്. ജീവിതം ലളിതവൽക്കരിക്കാനാണ് അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ തലക്കെട്ട് കാണിക്കുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ എനിക്ക് പറയാനുള്ളത് അഭിപ്രായ വ്യത്യാസവും. ജീവിതം ലളിതാണ്. ജീവിത ചിന്ത, ജീവിത ദർശനം, ജീവിത തത്വശാസ്ത്രമാണ് ജീവിതത്തിനെ ലളിതേതരം ആക്കുന്നതെന്നാണ് എൻ്റെ അഭിപ്രായം. കാരണം ജീവിതം എപ്പോഴും ലളിതാണ്. അത് നോക്കാൻ 2 കാര്യം നോക്കാം. ഒന്ന്, മൃഗങ്ങളുടെ ജീവിതം നോക്കുക. അതുപോലെ ആദ്യ മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ജീവിതം എത്ര ലളിതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ജീവിതത്തിലേക്കുള്ള ചിന്തകൾ വരുമ്പോഴാണ് ജീവിതം വളരെയധികം ലളിതേതരം ആയിത്തീരുന്നത്. ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ പറയാറുണ്ട്, ചിന്തിക്കുന്നവന് ജീവിതം എപ്പോഴും ട്രാജഡിയാവും, ദുരന്തമാവും. അനുഭവിക്കുന്നവന് എപ്പോഴും കോമഡിയാവും. ഈ ഹിന്ദിക്കാരെ ഇതിന് ട്രാജഡി എന്നും കോമഡി എന്നുള്ളതിന് ഓരോ വാക്കുണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ത്രാസതി, കാമതി, അങ്ങനെയാണ് അർത്ഥം നിശ്ചയില്ല, എന്നാലും അങ്ങനെ പറയാറുണ്ട്. ഈ നിലയ്ക്ക് നോക്കിയാൽ പ്രതിജന ഭിന്ന വിചിത്ര മാർഗം ആണ് ഈ മനുഷ്യ ജീവിതം എന്നുള്ളത് കണ്ടെത്തിയിട്ടുള്ള ഏറ്റവും ഉൾക്കാഴ്ചയുള്ള ദാർശനിക കവിയാണ് കുമാരനാശൻ. ആ പ്രതിജന ഭിന്ന വിചിത്ര മാർഗമായിട്ടുള്ള മനുഷ്യ ജീവിതം, അതിൽ ഓരോ മനുഷ്യനും ഓരോ സമയത്തും വരുന്ന പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ, ധർമ്മസങ്കടങ്ങൾ, സംശയങ്ങൾ, ഇതൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവും. അതാ നമ്മുടെ പ്രായോഗിക ജീവിതത്തിൽ തോന്നുന്ന ഇത്തരം സംശയങ്ങൾക്കും പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾക്കും പരിഹാരം എന്താണെന്ന് കണ്ടെത്താൻ അനാദികാലം മുതൽ ആളുകൾ ചിന്തിച്ചു തുടങ്ങിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. നമ്മുടെ ഭഗവത്ഗീത ജീവിത പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾക്കുള്ള ഒറ്റമൂലിയാണെന്ന് പറയാറുണ്ട്. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഇത് ഞാൻ പക്ഷെ അധികം വീട്ടിൽ പ്രസംഗിക്കാൻ എനിക്ക് നിർത്തിയില്ല. ഇപ്പോൾ തൽക്കാലം ആദ്യം ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നില്ല. ഒരു കാര്യം ഞാൻ പറയാം. മഹത്തായതെന്തും ഈ ലോകത്തിലെ ലളിതവും. കാരണം ഇപ്പോൾ മധുസൂദനൻ നായർ പറഞ്ഞു ജീവിതത്തിൻ്റെ ദർശനം, ഫിലോസഫി. ആ ഫിലോസഫി ലളിതമായിട്ടും പറയാം, കഠിനമായിട്ടും പറയാം. പൂന്താനത്തിൻ്റെ കവിത പോലെ ഇത്ര ലളിതമായിട്ടുള്ള ദർശനം, വേദാന്തം ലോകത്തിൽ ആരും പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നില്ല. ഏത് പുസ്തകത്തിൽ നിന്നും കിട്ടാവുന്ന ഏറ്റവും അഗാധമായിട്ടുള്ള വിജ്ഞാനങ്ങൾ സാരസത്തായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് പൂന്താനത്തിൻ്റെ ജ്ഞാനപ്പാനിൽ നിന്ന് ലഭിക്കും. അതേസമയം നന്ദനം സനാതനാനുക്ഷണ വിവസ്വര സുന്ദര പ്രപഞ്ചാധികന്ധമാം പ്രഭാവം എന്ന് വേണമെങ്കിൽ അങ്ങനെ പറയാം. ആകെപ്പാടെ ഒരു ഘോഷം വെടിക്കെട്ടതല്ലാണ്ട് നേരെ മറിച്ച് ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണൻ മനസ്സിൽ കളിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഉണ്ണികളുമായിട്ട് വേണമോ മക്കളായി രണ്ടു നാളും ദിനം കൊണ്ടൊരുത്തിനെ എന്ന് ഇത്ര കൊല്ലം മുമ്പ് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ആ കവിവാക്യങ്ങൾ മനുഷ്യ ജീവിതത്തിലെ ഓരോ ഘട്ടത്തിലും നമ്മൾ ആവശ്യപ്പെടാതെ ഫോഴ്സിബിളായിട്ട് വായിക്കാൻ തന്നെ ഓരോ മനുഷ്യൻ്റെയും നാവില് ഓടിയെത്തും. അതാണ് ശരിക്ക് ഈ മനുഷ്യ ജീവിതത്തിൽ കണ്ടുപിടിച്ചിട്ട് ആറ്റി കുറുക്കി പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ഈ മൊഴിമുത്തുകളായിട്ടുള്ള, അതിന് സുഭാഷിതങ്ങളെന്ന് പണ്ടത്തെ ആൾക്കാരൊരു വാക്ക് പറയും. വേണ്ട പോലെ പറയപ്പെട്ട വാക്കുകളാണ് സുഭാഷിതങ്ങൾ. അപ്പം ആ നിലയ്ക്ക് നോക്കിയാൽ ഇദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ഈ പുസ്തകം സത്യത്തിലൊരു രത്നാകരം തന്നെയാണ്, അറിവിൻ്റെ രത്നാകരമാണ്. ആ അറിവിൻ്റെ രത്നാകരത്തിന് ഞാൻ നിങ്ങൾ എന്നോട് മാപ്പാക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ ഇതിലത്തെ പോയിന്റ് വെറുതെ പറഞ്ഞാൽ എനിക്ക് അധികം ക്ലേശമില്ലാണ്ട് കഴിക്കാം, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ക്ലേശമില്ലാണ്ട് കഴിക്കാം. ഒന്നാമത് വളരെ നിസ്സർഗജമായ ഒരു ചിന്തയാണ് ഇതിലുള്ളത്. ശ്രീരാമകൃഷ്ണ പരമഹംസൻ നമുക്ക് നല്ല ഉദാഹരണമാണ്. ഏറ്റവും ഗഹനമായിട്ടുള്ള തത്വങ്ങൾ, ഏറ്റവും ലളിതമായിട്ടുള്ള ജീവിതാനുഭവങ്ങൾ. അതായത് അറിവ് എപ്പോഴും കേമായിക്കൊള്ളുന്നില്ല, അനുഭവം നമുക്ക് അനുഭൂതി തരണം. കവിത എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അറിവല്ല എന്ന് പറയാറുണ്ട്, അനുഭൂതി, വികാരം. വികാരവും ഹൃദയവും മനസ്സെന്ന് പറയാറുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ ഹൃദയത്തിൻ്റെ ഭാഷ അതിലേക്ക് എത്തിയാലേ മനുഷ്യർക്ക് നിത്യജീവിതത്തിൽ ശ്ലോകം കാണാണ്ട് പഠിച്ച് എത്ര ശ്ലോകം പണിയത്തില്ല. അതുകൊണ്ട് എന്താ കാര്യം, അതാ പുറത്ത് വെക്കും. നമ്മുടെ മനസ്സിൽ കയറണമെങ്കിൽ നിത്യാനുഭവമായിട്ട് നിത്യജീവിതമായിട്ട് സങ്കടം അത് ഇണക്കി കൊണ്ടുവരേണ്ടതാണ്. ശശികുമാർ ഇതിൽ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള നിത്യജീവിതത്തിലെ ഓരോ മനുഷ്യനും തോന്നാവുന്ന സംശയങ്ങളും ഈ ധർമ്മസങ്കടങ്ങളും എന്തൊക്കെയാണെന്ന് കണ്ട് അതിൻ്റെ എല്ലാം സമഗ്രമായിട്ട് തന്നെ ഇതിൽ പ്രതിപാദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ ഇതിൽ പ്രധാനമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ തെറ്റിദ്ധരിക്കപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുള്ള പല കാര്യങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചും വളരെ വളരെ അദ്ദേഹം ഒരു സയൻറ്റിസ്റ്റാണ്. കലയും ഹ്യൂമാനിറ്റീസ് തമ്മിൽ യോജിക്കാത്ത റെയിൽ പാളങ്ങളാന്ന് പറയുന്നത് തെറ്റാണ് എന്ന് ശശികുമാർ എന്നെ നല്ല പ്രത്യക്ഷ ഉദാഹരണമാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം സയൻറ്റിസ്റ്റ് ആണെങ്കിൽ ശാസ്ത്രീയമായ വീക്ഷണത്തിൽ കൂടിയാണ് ആത്മീയത. അങ്ങനെ ഇതേ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഞാൻ പറയുകയാണ്. പ്രധാനമായിട്ടുള്ള ആത്മീയത, ജീവിത മൂല്യങ്ങൾ, വിശ്വാസങ്ങൾ, ആചാര്യൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ആരാ, എന്താണ് അതിൻ്റെ ആവശ്യം, അതുപോലെ കുടുംബം എന്നാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ പറഞ്ഞത് വേറൊരു കാര്യം ഞാൻ പറയാം. ഐഹിക ബന്ധങ്ങളുടെ നിരാശാണ് സന്യാസം എന്ന് പറയുന്നതോളം വിഡിത്തം വരില്ല. സത്യത്തിന് പൗരുഷേയത്തിനും ഐഹികത്തിനും നിരസിക്കലല്ല സന്യാസം. ഗീതയിൽ പോലും അത് പറയുന്നില്ല, ഒരിക്കലും അത് പറയാത്ത നമ്മളൊരു ദുർവ്യാഖ്യാനാണ്. സോക്കാൾഡ് സ്കോളേഴ്സ് ഡോക്ടർ രാധാകൃഷ്ണൻ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ പൗരുഷേയത്തിനെ നിന്ദിച്ചിട്ടില്ല. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ സന്യാസം ഗാര്യസ്ഥ്യം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ്, ഐഹിക ജീവിതവും കുടുംബ ബന്ധങ്ങളായിട്ടുള്ള ജീവിതവും കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് സന്യാസത്തിലേക്ക് വരും. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ പുരുഷാർത്ഥങ്ങൾ പറയുമ്പോൾ കുടുംബ ബന്ധങ്ങൾ വളരെ പ്രാധാന്യമാണ്. ഒരു ഗൃഹസ്ഥനായിട്ട് സമ്പൂർണ്ണ ഗുണത്തോടുകൂടി ഗൃഹസ്ഥ ആശ്രമം അനുഷ്ഠിച്ച ഒരാളെ സമ്പൂർണ്ണ മനുഷ്യനാവുള്ളൂ എന്നുള്ളത് വളരെ തീർച്ചയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് അതിൻ്റെ പ്രസക്തിയെ പ്രത്യേകിച്ചും ഇതേ ഒന്നി പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അതിനെനിക്ക് വളരെയധികം സന്തോഷം തോന്നി. പൗരുഷേയത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രാധാന്യം, പിന്നെ ദൈവം, എന്താണ് ഈ ദൈവം, ഈശ്വരൻ, അതിനെപ്പറ്റിയും എത്രയോ തെറ്റിദ്ധാരണകൾ മനുഷ്യ മനസ്സിൽ കടന്നുകൂടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഗീതയിൽ തന്നെ അദ്ദേഹം പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളത് ഏറ്റവും സിമ്പിളാണ്. ഈശ്വരൻ സർവഭൂതാനാം നിർദ്ദേശെ അർജുന തിഷ്ഠതി. ഇത് ഇത്രയും ലളിതമായിട്ട് ഏത് രാഷ്ട്രീയ പാർട്ടിക്കും ഏത് രാജ്യത്തും ഏത് പ്രായത്തും ഏത് മനുഷ്യനും നല്ല മനസ്സെന്നവനാണ് ഹൃദയത്തെ അർജുന തിഷ്ഠതി. ഹൃദയത്തിൽ ഇരിക്കാത്ത ആൾക്കാർക്കാണ് മറ്റുള്ള ബാഹ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള ക്ഷേത്രങ്ങളോ മറ്റുള്ളതുള്ളത്. ക്ഷേത്രം വേണ്ടാതല്ല, അതിന് കഴിവുള്ള ആൾക്കാർ അതാ വേണ്ടേ. നിർഗുണ ഉപാസന തന്നെയാണ് വേണ്ടത്. ഇതിൻ്റെ ആവശ്യത അതാണ് ഇന്ദ്രിയ നിഗ്രഹം എന്ന് പണ്ടത്തെ ആൾക്കാർ പറഞ്ഞത്. ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള വിഷയങ്ങൾ ശാസ്ത്രീയമായിട്ടും സ്വർഗത്തേക്കാൾ ശ്രേഷ്ഠമായിട്ടുള്ള സുതലം എന്നുള്ള ലോകത്തേക്ക് അദ്ദേഹം പറഞ്ഞയച്ച് ബഹുമാനിച്ചു എന്നാണ് ഭാഗവതം പോലും പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളത്. അതിലേക്ക് തെറ്റി മറിച്ച് ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ റോട്ടിൽ കൂടെ മീശയും കുടവയറും ധരിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള മഹാബലിയെ അവതരിപ്പിക്കുന്ന പോലെ കൂട്ടിയാണ് ഈ സങ്കല്പം ഉള്ളത്. അപ്പം അതുകൊണ്ട് മാവേലിയെ പറ്റി ഓണം എന്നുള്ളത് വാമനാവതാരത്തിൻ്റെ ആഘോഷമായിട്ട് വരാൻ സാധ്യതയുള്ളൂ. അതൊക്കെ അദ്ദേഹം ചുരുക്കത്തിൽ സൂചിപ്പിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. എനിക്ക് വളരെ വളരെ സന്തോഷമായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. ഇതുപോലെ ഇനി അതല്ല, ഇതുപോലെ എത്ര മാറാറുകളില്ല മലീമസായിട്ടുള്ള ചിന്തകൾ മനസ്സിലുണ്ട്. ഏറ്റവും വിശിഷ്ടന്മാരായിട്ടുള്ള രണ്ട് വ്യക്തികളെ ഭൂതാനത്തിനെയും മേപ്പത്തൂരിനെയും വളരെയധികം നികൃഷ്ടമായ രീതിയിൽ പുച്ഛിക്കുന്നതായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഐതിഹ്യം നമ്മൾ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. ഭൂതാനം ജ്ഞാനപ്പാന എഴുതിയിട്ട് മേപ്പത്തൂരിനെ കാണിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ മേപ്പത്തൂര് ഇദ്ദേഹം വളരെ ഭക്തിയോടുകൂടി പട്ടേരി നോക്കി തന്നേ മതിയാവുള്ളൂ എന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു കൊടുത്തപ്പോൾ പുച്ഛിച്ചു പറഞ്ഞു. അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ഒരു കഥ ഇതിലധികം നീചമായിട്ടുള്ളൊരു മനസ്സിൽ നിന്ന് വരുന്നതായിട്ടുള്ളൊരു ഒരിക്കലും ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ. നമ്മളെ ഭൂതാനത്തിനെ പറ്റിയിരുന്ന മാത്രമല്ല മേപ്പത്തൂരും നാരായണീയം എഴുതിയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരാള് ഇദ്ദേഹം എങ്ങനെ പറയുന്നത് സ്വപ്നയിൽ വിചാരിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. നാരായണീയം എഴുതിയത് കുട്ടിക്കാലത്താണ്, പ്രായമായിട്ടുള്ളതല്ല. ചെറുപ്പകാലത്ത് ഗർവമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു എന്നൊക്കെ പറയാറുണ്ട്. അതിനൊന്നും തെളിവില്ല. ഈ തെളിവില്ലാത്ത കാര്യങ്ങൾ ആളുകളെ അന്യതാകരിച്ച മഹാന്മാരെ ചെറുതാക്കുന്ന ഈ ഏർപ്പാടിന് ശശികുമാരനെ പോലെയുള്ള ആൾക്കാരെ എങ്ങനെയും മുതലുകൾ നല്ലതാണ്. അപ്പം ഇത് ഒരു ഉദാഹരണം ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞതേ ഉള്ളൂ. അദ്ദേഹം വേറൊരു കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുക വളരെ വളരെ തൃപ്തിയായിരുന്നു. എനിക്ക് എൻ്റെ മഹാപണ്ഡിതനായിട്ടുള്ള എൻ്റെ ഫാദറിൻ്റെ തന്നെ അവസാനം സ്വച്ഛമൃത്യു ഒരിക്കൽ ഒരു മാസം മരണത്തിനെ കാത്തു കിടന്ന് ഒരു അസ്കിതയില്ലാണ്ട് രോഗമില്ലാണ്ട് കിടന്ന കാലത്ത് പറഞ്ഞു, ഇപ്പോൾ ബുദ്ധിയായി ഈ സ്വർഗവും നരകവും ഇവിടെ തന്നെയാണ്, ഇതല്ലാണ്ടൊന്നുമില്ല എന്നുള്ള. അപ്പോൾ ഈ തത്വം ഇദ്ദേഹം ഈ പുസ്തകത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞു. നരകം എന്താ, സ്വർഗം എന്താ, നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ സങ്കല്പിക്കുന്ന പോലെയുള്ള മറ്റൊരു ലോകമല്ല, ഈ ജീവിതം തന്നെയാണ് സ്വർഗവും നരകവും. നമുക്ക് നാമയെ പണിയുന്നത് നാഗം നരകവും അതുപോലെ എന്ന് ഉള്ളൂര് പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ. ഇതിൽ ഞാൻ ഒറ്റ വാചകത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇദ്ദേഹത്തിന് പരിചയപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുള്ളത് എന്ന് പറയട്ടെ. ഇതിനെ പരിചയപ്പെടുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് തന്നെ അദ്ദേഹത്തിനെ പറ്റി അറിഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളത് എൻ്റെ ആത്മാ സുഹൃത്തായിട്ടുള്ള KPC അനിയൻ പട്ടതിരിപ്പാടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ആളാണ്. അയാളാണ് എന്നോട് ആദ്യമായിട്ട് ശശിയെ പറ്റി പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളത്. അതിവിടെ വന്നിട്ടാണ് കണ്ടു പരിചയപ്പെടാനും കൂടുതൽ അടുക്കാനും ഇടവന്നത്. ഇതിനെ എടുത്ത് പരിചയപ്പെട്ടതിൽ വളരെ സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൽ നിന്ന് ഇനിയും വളരെ വളരെ വില പിടിച്ചുള്ള രത്നങ്ങൾ നമുക്ക് കിട്ടാൻ യോഗം ഉണ്ടാവട്ടെ എന്ന് ഞാൻ പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുന്നു. ഈ രത്നാകരത്തിൽ മുങ്ങി ആഴത്തിൽ മുങ്ങിയാലേ മുത്ത് കിട്ടുള്ളൂ എന്ന് മാത്രം നമ്മൾ ആലോചിക്കുക. പരപ്പിന് മുത്ത് കിട്ടില്ല. ഏത് സാഹചര്യത്തിലും അടിയിൽ മുങ്ങി തപ്പിയാലേ മുത്ത് കിട്ടുള്ളൂ. അങ്ങനെ കിട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള മുത്തുകളാണ് ഈ പുസ്തകത്തിലുള്ളത്. ഞാൻ ആദ്യം പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ഏറ്റവും മഹത്തായിട്ടുള്ളവർക്ക് ലളിതമായിട്ടേ വരുള്ളൂ. KP കേശവമേനോന്റെ വിദ്യവും ഭൂതാനത്തിൻ്റെ പദ്യവും പോലെ ലളിതമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒന്ന് നമുക്ക് ആർക്കും സങ്കല്പിക്കാൻ വയ്യാത്ത ഒരാദേശം പോലെയാണ്. അപ്പം അതിലേക്ക് ശശികുമാറിൻ്റെ ഈ പുസ്തകവും കൂട്ടാം. ഇതിന് സന്തതികൾ അനുജന്മാർ ധാരാളം ഉണ്ടാവട്ടെ എന്ന് മാത്രം പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കും. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് സകല ഭാവുകങ്ങളും നേർന്നുകൊണ്ടും എന്നെ ക്ഷണിക്കാൻ തോന്നിയിട്ടുള്ള സന്മനസ്സിന് നന്ദി പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you, Akavoor uncle. There is a famous saying in English, behind every successful man there is a woman. And in the case of Dr. Shashi Kumar, that is absolutely 101% right. His wife, Dr. Radha Devi, and 2 kids. They are not here, they are staying at Hyderabad. But everywhere, whatever he does, spiritually, professionally, or artistically, their support is there. And Agorangal Parnadwala, spiritual persons in a Kudumbam Upeshikanda Avishilya. General Dr. Sanna jeans and Reebok shoe t-shirt and sannyasi. And I think it is like that only. Okay. Next is Swagata Simple, few words, please.
I know a few words now, other few are not
Namaskaram. When Shobha asked me to come and be a part of this evening's program, I wondered what I was going to be when there are such learned people around here. And apart from the fact that I do know a little bit of Dr. Shashi Kumar's work and his interests, because that is what really interests me, what people think of. And as I read this book, I deal with children every day. It is a part of not only my dance world, as Shobha said, but I work in the field of social development. And I have discovered that if we want to make a change in society for the future, for our children, we have to start with the children. And yet we are all so busy living our own lives or trying to make lives easier for our children that we forget that there is something that they need more than just being provided for, more than a house, more than a good school to go to. They need good words. They need values. Unfortunately, a lot of us want to give our children those values, but we don't know how to. Not everybody has a way with words. Not everybody can talk well. We very often don't even listen to the questions that our children ask us because we don't have the answers for them. As everybody has been saying this evening, Orkut is something that I have very consciously stayed away from. I have always thought, it is, as we heard earlier, that it is a site where people hang out details of their lives and anybody can look in. It's like being in a public window, and I'm not comfortable with that idea. And I don't think children should do that, and that's exactly what I've been telling my students, my friends, my colleagues who I see on the Orkut, and I say, listen, that is bad, turn that off, get onto something else, get into a closed chat group. I'm not very knowledgeable in the computer world, but this was my idea about Orkut. The thing that struck me most about Life Made Simple was that Dr. Shashi Kumar took this platform that children consider their own, youngsters with questions, and he found a way of turning this very public domain into a very private, intense discussion. If you have, a lot of you are part of that book, a lot of you must have read it, and anybody who has spoken with Dr. TPS will know that when he talks, it feels as if he's talking to you and you alone. And I'm sure those who were in the Orkut group also felt that way. And being able to turn their questions into very easily understood answers is an amazing gift, because not everybody can talk to people. Not everybody can make themselves understood. And sometimes people don't ask questions because they are worried that they'll be made fun of or somebody will dismiss them. Dr. Shashi Kumar has not done that with even one question. Every question, every comment that is there in the book has been dealt with. There is an answer, there is a way. In the earlier days, and a lot of that has also been said, in the earlier days, there were people who would guide us, or we had the Shastras to guide us, and it was incumbent on everybody to read it. Today nobody has the time. Very few people have the knowledge. To have a book like this where it's like a Nitya Puja Vidhanam. You open it up, every day you look at something. It gives you, if nothing else, it gives you something to think about. Something to take away. Somebody's experience, somebody's words. And it is something that even the most hip and happening child in the schools or in the colleges today would not mind carrying around, because it is from Orkut, remember? It is the place to be. So this combination of traditional knowledge and an open, down-to-earth, new technology, and the fact that most of his interactions are with youngsters who have questions that they are not afraid to ask of him, is an amazing facet of this book. There's very little, as in his foreword itself he has said that he's not tried to answer the questions, he has not tried to deal with everything, but he has tried to make a presentation of whatever came up in the discussion, or tried to give a direction. And I think that is what is required today, to be able to give youngsters things to think about, little nuggets they can take away. And as somebody who knows that it is very rarely that children go wrong if they have value systems, the fact that there is something that we can ask our children to read, that we can ask our friends to read and say, look, don't worry. If you're feeling sad, look at this page. If you're feeling confused, look at that page. If you have a question about your mortality, if you have a question about time, if you have a question about what is friendship, anything, some page, some line in this book will in some manner address that fact. There is a book by Richard Bach called The Illusions, which is also, the byline says it's the handbook of the masters. I think Life Made Simple is the handbook of the practitioners. You know, they can take it. They can take it, they can find something to live by. Illusions is a similar book. You open a page, you find something that helps you think. But it is more philosophical. You have to read the rest of the book. Life Made Simple is not like that. You can open it, you can read it, and you can take something away. I really am not qualified to stand here and speak because I neither have the knowledge that DrTPS has, nor the knowledge that any of our eminent guests today do. But I'm deeply privileged to be here, to be even able to speak about this, because I, as I said in the beginning, deal with children and young people. And I deal with trying to create attitudinal changes or behavioral changes. And to see that there are people who are completely not connected with this field, but have that much capacity to give us things that we can use as tools in the field, makes me feel very, very proud that we have a group always around us. And if we just delve a little bit deeper, and that is also something that has been dealt with in the book, look beyond what is evident. Look at what the person is inside. And you will find, like the onion, many layers. And in the onion, we don't throw away any of the layers. We keep them all. And they're all necessary. And it's the same way that you look for the layers in the people who are around you. And that is something that Life Made Simple teaches you. And I think that's a wonderful gift that DrTPS has given us. And I must thank Sobha for bringing me into the contact with him. Because apart from everything else, my dancer choreographer's mind keeps plugging into his head to take out more ideas, more thoughts, new dimensions that I can put in. I keep telling him, I need a new idea for a new show. Throw me something that I can work on. And that helps. That is also another facet of his, which is beyond the philosophical. He can just conceive something visually and say, try this visually, maybe this will work. And I think that is good too. I don't know, I can stand here and talk. I don't have anything prepared because there is nothing prepared about what this book says. This book is spontaneity. It is everybody's spontaneous thought and Dr. TPS's spontaneous responses. And that was why I thought that what I say here should also be as spontaneous as I can possibly make it. Which is why I am getting disjointed thoughts that are coming in from various ends and I'm speaking about them. But thank you very much. And I think any of you who hasn't read it should read it today. And carry as many copies as you can. Give it to your children. Tell them to read it once at night. Give it to your colleagues. Say, just look through it. Keep it on your table. Let even the boy who brings in water flip through it. He'll find something. Thank you so much.
I invited her simply because she is a mother to so many kids, including my daughter. And she runs a dance school, Kingani Dhoni, simply under the style of Gurukulam. There, the students go, they cook food, they eat there, they sleep there, and they dance there, and then perform and scatter her place. At the end of each and every show, she will not get anything for the next show. Because that is what happens at her place. Thank you once again. Ragnesh ji, few words, please.
माफ कीजिएगा मैं थोड़ा लंबा हूँ Honorable Chief Guest, Ms. Nair, मैं अगर गुस्ताखी माफ हो तो मैं चाहूँगा एक सुधीर साहब हैं उनको जरा इधर बुलाना चाहूँगा My Malayali is not very good and I'm not educated enough to speak good English, so I will take his help. This was the gentleman who introduced me to Dr. TPS Sasi Kumar. So I would like to thank him, and there's a terminology we use in radio, it's halkes. It's not that case. Please don't take me otherwise. Let's keep it short and simple. So keeping it short and simple, I have learned from TPS. And last year, probably in Jan, I was introduced to him. And in February, there was a seminar on science communication. And we invited him. What happened is some of the guests has taken a lot of time speaking. Then finally, his time was squeezed to 10 minutes at the end of the conference. And he went on like a 5,000cc Ferrari. And there were a lot of people from mass communication, and one of them was the director of AIR Calcutta. And he has to propose the vote of thanks. So he got up and he said, "Thanks, Dr. TPS Sasi Kumar, for your very enlightening but very confusing and very fast speech." I would like to take Sudhir's help because what I'm going to say is in Hindi and he is going to translate. But he has given me a very dangerous word. When I asked him to teach me Malayali, he taught me a word which means monkey. How do you say it? Korgan. And I went to my home and I thought maybe I will impress my neighborhood Malayali person, and I went and said this to him. He said, no, please don't say this to anybody. But I hope he will do the right kind of translation for what I'm going to say. Otherwise, Mrs. Panicker is here. I'll take her help. कुछ लोग थे.
Please excuse me. The language is called Malayalam. One who speaks Malayalam is Malayalam. Not like Hindi.
Right. I was trying very hard to understand what she was saying, but later on I will definitely take this dictaphone and translate it. Sudhir ji, please. कुछ लोग थे जो वक्त के सांचे में ढल गए. कुछ लोग थे जो वक्त के सांचे में ढल गए. कुछ लोग थे जो वक्त के सांचे बदल गए. So TPS Sasikumar is one of those lethal combination of science and religion. We have a talk show, Science versus Religion, in our radio station, and I always get him in front of me. So first day when we invited him, most of our anchors were running away. Some were running away to canteen for the tea. Some said, well, I have a diarrhea. Some said, I have a dysentery. And they all disappeared. So finally I thought, I must know what is happening. One of the guy who was attending that seminar of science communication was there, and he said, he's a very dangerous creature. Don't get close to him. And if you will put him on mic and on air, live, he will rip you apart. So it's better to stay away. So they all ran away. So finally, the recording person was there and I was there, and they said, why don't you sit down here and you interview him. So we interviewed, it went very well, but the problem again remained that we were two different entities. He kept it very simple, I kept it very simple. The phone calls landed in our radio station were like, they were not asking about who the scientist is, they were asking who the Pandit is. So I think I had said enough, and we are bound to keep ourselves in time, within time. 30 seconds, 1.5 minutes, that's enough to say what you want to say. If you cannot communicate within that and within the limits of the word, पूरा शास्त्र भी आपको उतना समय नहीं देगा कि आप समझा सकें. So he had kept it very short, simple, made life simple. I am going to keep it very short and simple. Thank you so much.
ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു മീറ്റിംഗിൽ സംബന്ധിക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചത് വളരെ സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്. എന്താണ് ആ പുസ്തകം എന്താണെന്ന് ഞാൻ വായിച്ചിട്ടില്ല. പക്ഷേ ഇന്ന് കൂടിയിട്ട് എൻ്റെ പല സുഹൃത്തുക്കളെയും ഇവിടെ കാണാണ്ടായി. ഈ പുസ്തകം വായിച്ച് എന്താണ് അതിലുള്ളതെന്ന് ഞങ്ങളാണ് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്തത്. അടുത്തൊരു മീറ്റിംഗ് ഇങ്ങനൊരു സന്ദർഭം ഇനിയും തരാൻ ഞാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നു. ഒന്നുകൂടെ എല്ലാവരും നന്ദി പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തട്ടെ.
Thank you, Andre. Next is authors speak. Let me ask DrTPS to say a few words. Okay, till we have time till 8 o'clock. I think he doesn't have any problem in talking. He'll keep on talking, and we will keep on listening. That is what happens during his sessions.
My dear family members, namaskaram to all of you. As the book says, the life made simple. I never had an intention to have a release function like this. The first copy, when I reached two copies, my postal address is very bad. My honor is here. The letter delivered by Mrs. Swagata for a dance program on November 7th reached me yesterday. That credential I have on my postal address. So the book, when it went for a reading on the proofreading, it came and went back, address is not seen. And therefore I just told him, print as it is, doesn't matter. I don't have to read the proof. Therefore the copy which I have to see, I just asked to post on Southern Apartments, Srihatan's address. So that's the time when I saw my book first. That's where when Sobha gave me at the temple in the evening. So what I did is I have just given it to Thiruguruvayappan temple. And that was very auspicious day. It happened to be on, my niece was here, my brother-in-law was here, and Sobha was there. People were there around him. So then I gave one copy, another copy to Rajan to read. So Rajan said, we will have a release function. Shobhanji also said, we will have. Then I said, you just do it. And Dinagaran, who was a press photographer, was around. He said, we will do the arrangement. And everything what is done is by them. I'm so thankful to them for this. And my intention was meeting Akavoor, Professor Akavoor, was to give one book for review. That was a collection of poems which I have written for last 12 months and 27 poems. He has assured that today he will give me the comment. Okay, so then I gave this book also to him. So that is how I started. And the relation with Akavoor sir, as he said, is through my guru. He knew me before I landed here. And Radhakrishnan sir was the person who spoke to me first, because he got information that I was here. Knew or saw him, but he spoke to me. To be very frank, the place where I am staying, I got through an internet connection. So we have a lot of people know over Delhi. Before I landed, I know many people. And Suresh was one person whom I met. I did not meet him, but I know him very closely and he knows me very closely. And I think we have Rajala here, who is a close friend of mine. So one talk on Pushpa Vihar, and we had a lot of discussions after that. So a lot of people, a lot of contacts, a lot of satsang, a virtual satsang through internet. I was very reluctant to work on internet, to be very frank. My office had a lot of restrictions, and my wife used to use. And she says, no, why can't you get it? I said, no, this is something which I cannot do now. And then my two sons were on internet, and then my wife says, no, you must go and see where they are going. And I found most of my relatives are their close friends. Many of the relatives whom I have not met for the last 20 years, they're all in Australia, Europe, US, all of them are there in that. Otherwise, I will not even communicate to them. So it was a just family get together, but over a period of 3 months, I had more than 1,000 invitations of friendship. And I have to start 3 parallel mirror for my profile, because my asset in this world is more than 5 lakh of students, out of which more than 1 lakh of students are teachers. Because I was a director for training college, and every Kerala visit I make it a point I will talk to at least 2 training colleges. And all the teachers are my students. And I have got a lot of students who are much more elder than me. It so happened in Guruvayur, when I gave a lecture on personality development, all of them are above 60s. And they want to develop their personality. Because nowadays, the spiritual lectures are for people who don't have any other job. Those who talk are also like that. I remember when I went to Ernakulam 8 years back to give a lecture on a NSS program, the NSS Karyoga. Booked a ticket from Ernakulam to Trivandrum, putting my age as 62. Because they have thought a person who have to talk about Gita have to be above 60. That's what the concept they have. And luckily or unluckily, when I entered in the first class compartment, the TT came and looked at me and looked at my ticket. And he was looking at both notes, I got scared, maybe he will catch me. And he said, you are Dr. Shashikumar? Yes. Then he touched my feet and said, no, I have attended your lecture 3 years back. Fine. So there is a lot of acceptance when people listen to you. I'm sure Sushila madam had a lot of reservations to talking to me, but it just got changed when Radhakrishnan ji know that they are related to each other. And I know Ravi. And Ravi is there on the backside. A lot of questions and answers were there. But I never knew that Ravi and Radhakrishnan ji have got that relation. But when he came to Uttaravari Elephant Temple, we were sharing this information. Then we know they are very close to each other. So sometimes the satsang is not in our hand. Why I said this much is, it's just accidental. My birth itself is an accident. It's not that I want that to take birth. There is one poem which I have written, it's going to come, in which we fight for taking birth. Because millions of fathers' sperm get into the mother's womb, and I only took birth. And I have fought to take birth. And all those who failed are my unborn brothers and sisters. I used to ask people, do we have to fight to that many number of people in this world? And why we should worry to fight? Because they are the unborn brothers and sisters with whom we have fought, and that gave us the birth. So are we not great? So we are the greatest. By birth itself we are great. And people keep on telling that I don't have this, I don't have this. We are all winners. First, birth itself is a big winning. Kalagomudi, it has come in Kalagomudi, called Malsaram. Kalagomudi, the August issue, that poem has come. And I don't know whether it has come in English or Malayalam first. I think both. So, that's what it is. And in this function, I have people who have not invited. I told somebody, don't come, but he has also come. He is Mr. Vijayatan. I call him Vijayatan. He is in my office. He spent almost half an hour every day or 1 hour every day. He just come after lunch or sometime in the day. He comes and sits with me for 1 hour. If you don't sit with me for 1 hour, I think he is upset. So attached, So my office for last 20 years, whenever if I go off for 1 week, there are attendants who says, sir, please come to office once and then go. I said, what for? Nothing, just to see you. See, that's the love which we have. I think if I have something or I've written something, it's just because of the blessings of people and satsang which we have. I remember KPC Arjun Bhattacharya coming to me and meeting me at my house. It was a great honor. My guru comes to me and meet, I never knew KPC earlier. And he came to my house and people were wondering why this man is a great personality is coming to an unknown fellow. So that's a blessing. I think it's just blessing and it's all accident. It's not that I wanted to do this. That's why I say life is like flowing river. The river doesn't know where it falls. If there is no slope, it just stagnates there and a time will come, it just overflows. And tree grows not because it wants. No, every environment is given, it cannot grow. There has to be life within. And maybe it will grow, it does not grow. But once it starts growing, then it will find its own path to grow. So grow like a tree and fall like a river. That's what I used to say. That's life. And I think I never did anything. Even in official capacity, I never pushed myself to reach somewhere. It's just the chance, or it's just the accident which... See, I was in Kerala as director of academic staff college and the politics pushed me out of Kerala. When the ministry changed, I was pushed out. And there are a lot of people who say, no, why can't you file a case? I said, I'm ready to go. And that's why I'm here. If I could have continued there, now I will be director of academic staff college. But now I'm at much higher position than that. So it just happens sometime when you fall, you will fall for better. So I think every failure, that's what in the book also I have written, for every fall, if you have to fire, you have to trigger back on it. If you push forward, it will not fire. And if you have to put an arrow, you have to pull back. So once you pull back, the force will be more. So that's life. I have a lot of people like, the Sudhir who introduced me to Delhi, to most of the people. And as soon as I got introduced, it's Ratnesh ji who gave me a forum. And it's true that half an hour lecture, when I prepare for half an hour, if it does not happen, I know how to put it in 10 minutes also. I just fast forward. Okay, the number of words which we can process is much more. And I do that. Sadharana, if you want to write, generally a writer, like a god, is Paroksha Priya Deva. God as a writer does not give anything straight, that's what it says. But it's not a book, it's not a writing, it's a just discussion. So it's a conversation, not a communication. So the format of communication or book will not be there. So it's just a conversation. So I think the people should feel while reading that I am sitting on the other side and telling, and some questions are not answered. It's not true that everything is answered, because something should not answer. There has to be some vacant, because during conversation you may not answer everything. And there are some places where somebody questioned me saying there are 2 questions and you have not answered. You don't answer for every question and you will wait for the next question to come and then only you answer. Some people thought it's a printing mistake. It's not a printing mistake. Some things are not answered. Some comments are not even commented back. There are somebody who says I don't agree, I could have argued back. I never argue. I just left it there. Because it's for the readers to argue within themselves. Okay, so some questions cannot be answered. It has to be there as question, and people will find out there are. And I'm very happy, and to some extent I'm unhappy getting the comments from the critics. Actually, when you give for a book review, there are a lot of negative points spread out. And generally there is a problem between translation in English and, I don't know, in Sanskrit, Nirupanam is the translation, critic. But critic is like cutting them into pieces and then criticizing. That's a bad fact. But if you look at nirupanam in the word in Sanskrit, nirupanam means rupapadutha, shaping. That's what it means. So in Sanskrit and Malayalam, nirupanam or the criticism means shaping an author. If you do mistakes, the critic will tell you how to do it perfect. So that is what, it's a creative activity. Criticism is a creative activity. But by mistake, the translation of nirupanam into criticism have given a shape, that you should not never criticize people. You should criticize people. I think I enjoy getting criticism. If you don't get criticized, you will never get shape. A nice shape will never come if you don't chop out the unnecessary part. So I expected a much more critical review on the book and say, I am sure that it will come in writing, because Ratnesh has taken 15 copies to give it to somebody. People have to like to be very nice and face, but I think when it comes in writing, I will have a nice criticism where some more chippings will come and then maybe some more perfection can come out of it. Okay. Generally, critics will say you have done a wonderful job, good job and all that. There are some people. And some people are there when they read the book says, no, there is another book which is much better than this. No? I am sure there are better books in the world. And I am not a writer. I am not a writer, not a thinker. I am only a speaker. Generally, I speak a lot. And what I speak is what I record generally. That is just for me to hear myself. Most of the time, the thought process comes when I see audience. My son used to make joke, when there is marriage function, he says, Acha, there are a lot of people are going to give a talk. Because I am thrilled by meeting people and talking. I am very sad. I am in Delhi and I have no programs. For the last 3 years, or 1 year left in Delhi, I had 1,000 programs in 3 years. Average 3 programs per day. But in Delhi, I had hardly 140 programs in last 1 year. But I'm so glad that I don't have job too. When Vivekananda says once, when people don't listen to you, you write and read. Because it says that you have not sufficient knowledge and it is time for you to read. And he says, if people don't listen to you, allow them to read. So I think it's a big blessing. If I don't have been in Delhi, I'm sure I will not do this. And 2 more books are on writing, that just because I'm in Delhi. Recently, there was a book came on Kailas Manasarovar Yatra to review, and that small book is there, in which 7 pages I have written. Because I have written 300 pages after coming back from Kailas, and the publisher was behind me for, no, please give it for publishing. I said no, because there are a lot of books coming in Kerala on Kailas Manasarovar Yatra. And I said, writing this now will become another competition, so don't sell me like this. I said, I don't want. I'm sure in Kerala, if that book comes, there will be a good sale. But I have written 7 pages. 7 pages as a preface for that book in Pakka Malayalam. And I have written that, let that experience which I have with Manasa Sarovar Yatra, with my Guru, let it be my own personal experience, which I don't want to share with anybody. That was a big learning for me. All my spiritual learnings were on that travel where Shankara has traveled and where my Guru had taken me. Actually, he took me to that place. And this book, there are a lot of mistakes, I'm sure. Starting from the date of publishing, it was 25th December because it was supposed to be in December. And then I made it October. So the 2 has been put into 0. Including my, some places you can see some mistakes. And somebody was asking me why this mistake. I said, whenever a small kid is being given nice bath, nobody gives a pot at the right place. It is all put at some wrong places. So, some mistakes are intentionally done. So that, so that's what it is. Okay. And today morning we had a Hyderabad release of the same book in a youth camp attended by 100 people, and that was done in Madhavada and the Ways Much. And my wife spoke there, and she just recorded, and on telephone my son was making me to listen to that. Okay. So as Sobha Chichi says, my wife is always with me, and when she attends almost my lecture, and she says, you are not telling anything new, yeah, it's so boring. That's what generally says. I said it's a big credit for me. Because before I tell somebody else, I tell my wife. And therefore she feels that it's all nothing new for her. So that's a big, and most of my learnings are from her. including I have not learned Sanskrit anywhere. So if I knew little bit, it's from my wife. And Kochi release, we had a wonderful program. We had a release in Kerala. So there was a Kochi release, and that was done by Thottathil Radhakrishnan, Justice Thottathil Radhakrishnan sir. That was because when I had a lecture there for advocates how to perform well. You know, I am a professional. I have a LLB qualification, and one of the best teacher in Kerala is my uncle, T.P. Kodambiya. And none of the justices are there in Kerala who never attended my uncle's class. So he was a guru, and he was insisting me to talk to the advocate. So during that time, the book was also released. And so happy that in 1 week it was sold 300 copies. It's only 1,000 copies which are printed, but 300 was sold in Kerala. Probably because now there are some negative things which I have explained here and there, including life, including wife, and so many definitions are given negatively. That is just to make people to think slightly different. My publisher was a wonderful person. I had a lot of thought process before getting it printed. Should I give it to a good publisher? And I'm sure it's easily I can get it through any well-known publishers. But I had a problem when I had a book on education earlier, how to teach on internet. Principles and pedagogies for learning and teaching through internet web. That book is only 160 pages, but the cost is 475 rupees. And if I have to get one extra copy, I have to pay for that. That's a situation. I thought that this book is to read to people, so it has to be with a publisher where he will do it at a reduced cost and easily available to people. I can get as many copies as I want and distribute it. So that's also possible. So he's so flexible and so good. So I have to thank him at this occasion. His ideological interest in some few of the publications of him is also available here. Okay, I think I have told what I have to tell. There are a lot of things like today God did not smile at me. That's my experience at Mayur Vihar Guruvayappan temple. And Ravi commented nicely on that. You can read through that. And you radiate light, what is another point which I have said. And everybody radiates light around. And Ravi had a wonderful comment on that. Ultimate is He. That's another title in which Surya have a wonderful comment on that. And Ravi again comments on, there were some questions on astrology, whether astrology is science or not. So I'm an astrologer for the last 18 years. I used to tell people there is no other equipment with which you can predict somebody's past or present or future. So until science finds that, you have to use only astrology. Okay, there is no other equipment available. Without seeing somebody, you cannot predict him. Now, seeing a horoscope, we can tell which part of the body is so glaring, whether they have a problem on knee, whether they have a problem on this, that. All that can be predicted to them. There are people who have experienced that in the same hall with seeing and consulting. So when this question came also, I never answered because I thought, no, it should not be answered. But there are a lot of questions after that. So I just made, it's only a signboard. It cannot change your path. It can only tell you where you will go. So astrologers are only signboards. If you are a good driver, you don't require a signboard. Nobody changes when there is a sharp turn. If there is a signboard, an expert driver, even in third gear, he will drive perfectly. But the astrologers will tell you there is a great tragedy for you and he is supposed to put in first gear. And some people are there, they will say, no, they're scared and then stop and they say, I cannot drive further. So that's why the horoscope people make a horoscope a horoscope. So people have to be cautioned during this. That's why some answers are given not totally but as a signboard. And there are animal characters and so some funny things also happen sometimes. Animal characters represents guna, therefore the guna of people can be characterized by seeing the animal. So Surya asks, characterize of their own family member, whether who is a dog, who is a cat, who is a fox, and then some jokes. Jokes are also there, but all that have got a lot of contents. For example, this is a message through Bhagavad Gita. But that's not, nowhere it is said it is from Bhagavad Gita, but if you read through that and who have read Bhagavad Gita will know that's indirectly I am trying to put that. So Ravi also again asked whether I am progressing. There are some people say that whether spiritually I am stronger or not. What is the measurement to, if you know physical weight, you can weigh. But how do you know whether somebody is spiritually higher or not? There is no equipment available in this world. And somebody says, I am a bhaktan. No? What is the characteristic of evaluating a bhaktan? It is the God who has to evaluate and say that you are a bhaktan or not. It is not that number of puri which we have in the sandalwood paste which you put on your forehead. So some such things are indirectly said, sometimes very directly. And this was not at all in this shape, this book. It was just points and in a sequence. The whole shape is given by Dr. Radhika Nagarath. She is working with, Swami Ramdev. And she works for Swami Ramdev. And the person who is sitting with Swami Ramdev edited this book for me. Okay, so I'm very, very thankful to Swami Ramdev's Shishya, Dr. Radhika Nagarath. She's a wonderful lady. So much knowledge about the Vivekananda. And it so happened that our association was quite late, and I was teaching in Vivekananda Institute for Human Excellence on mind management, mind control, personality development, etc. in Hyderabad. And as we started talking, we talked only on Vivekananda, his missions and ideologies. So it became very close. And there are two people who introduced me to Radhika Nagarath. It all happens on internet. That's all happens on internet. All these are through internet. And one is Ajita and one is Josmi. They are all editors of one of the journals from Sri Krishna publications from Trichy. So they are the people who come in that. What I have to say on this book as last word and the final word on the foreword is also from me. In this book, the publisher was asking me, shall I give it to somebody else and get a foreword written? I said, I will write the first word, I will write the last word. Let it not be, generally what happens is the book is given to somebody to write a foreword. In that foreword, in it, books are being sold. And famous people will write. I said, it's not required. It has to be simple as we can. And the cover page is also designed by me. So, all the activity, because I am a multimedia editor. So I have learned professionally how to edit things and all that. And regarding Swagata madams and people says that I used to tell that today kids are more multimedia kids. My son can work on computer parallelly, look at the TV and watch a nice movie, and he will have an MP3 player on his here to listen to nice music, and the mother will be scolding that he will listen from the other eye, and he will have chips around and eating, and then he will be talking on telephone to his friends. All this happens so parallelly. I have seen him doing it, and I never scolded him because he stands first. In CBSE, he was first in the Andhra Pradesh. So I think the kids have the capability, but what is not happening is the father and mother never understands them. They think that they can only do one thing at a time. I think total liberty has to be given to kids. They will perform well, but have a trust with them that they can do well. And there are a lot of places where parents don't understand the kids. Most of the problem which I get on counseling, a lot of students come to me. What I find is, there was one family who came, and the kids get only 20 marks in most of the subjects. And I found that it was just because the father and mother does not love them. And father came, started telling her for 3 months, I am not talking to her because she is not performing well. That was the message. Ultimately, the end of 2-3 hours of discussion, I just allowed that kid to sleep on her father's lap. I allowed the daughter to sleep on her father's lap because it was not happening. It's 7 years that she slept on her father's lap. Can you imagine? And then she started weeping, and after that sometime, so the eyes was so reddish, and the father started crying, the mother started crying, the whole house, everybody was crying. Then I said, now done, they will get 90% mark. It's as simple as that. Because for everybody, if you don't have somebody to love, if you don't have somebody to hate you, if you don't have somebody to fight with you, your life becomes useless. It can be so simple, and it's complicated in the beginning, but you can make it so simple, so flowing, so natural. If you don't enjoy your life, the life is waste. So that's why I said the mukti or moksha is here. It's not somewhere else. So let that be the message of the day. And I thank each one of you. I'm sure today I was supposed to attend Unikshan Punganan's book. He has released 2 books today. I was supposed to attend that. But today, even reaching here, Vijayatan knows that we were working up to 5:35 in the office. It was so hectic. My boss was there and I could not get him out. And actually there was some other issue, so I put my boss also along with me and went up to temple and finished some issues there, and then I was running. That's how it happened. So I'm so sorry that I could not attend another book release function, which I would have loved, and I have read it, I have learned it, I have thoroughly. I thought I will also talk on the book at least a few words. I was prepared for that, it did not happen. I'm so thankful to Nick Schneider. Even after that, I did not attend his function, he came here. And I'm so happy. A lot of people over here were just over SMS, just over telephone. And one of my relatives is here. Is the only blood relative which I have got. He's an IRS, he's working with the Agriculture Ministry. Yeah, Agriculture Ministry. And he's here, just on SMS or telephone. That's what. I did not even send an invitation to him. So I have a lot of people who loves me. And Vinod is there, we just met around native. And I think we share an initial together, TP, and a lot of people over here. And PM Nair, Dr. PM Nair got introduced just because of Janardhan attended a program. And I think our good community, if you want to know, the Taravada Mahima is being put inside the Orkut now on the YouTube, is being really used by many people. Lot of activities I can see.